Okay, so we asked for it, and you guys definitely delivered with this one.
Oh, yeah.
This short story, Revenge. I mean, right off the bat, even the title kind of makes you go,
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Like, what is it about these revenge stories that just suck us in? What's going on there, deeper down?
Well, that's the thing about fiction, isn't it? Even a short story like this can give you a glimpse into something much bigger.
Totally.
Like you said, those deeper fears, desires. And this story, oh yeah, it's got those in spades.
So just to set the scene for everyone listening, our listener's story starts with Brad. Regular guy, just totally wiped after a long shift, driving home. It's pouring rain. You know that feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And the way it's written, you can practically feel that exhaustion, that almost home, got to get their autopilot thing.
Totally.
And that's when he sees her.
And that, my friend, is where the author, they really get you. They use those classic, almost like tropey things, dead tired, stormy night. You see the woman on the road looking vulnerable. Part of you is like on edge, but also like, come on, not another cliche hitchhiker story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You think you've got it all figured out. And I'll admit, when Brad starts hesitating about Candy, at first I almost thought he was going to be the problem. Ooh, is this going to be one of those stories where the guy's the one to worry about for once?
It totally plays on that expectation.
Oh.
And it all comes down to this idea of an unreliable narrator, which, by the way, is one of my favorite literary devices.
It's a good one, yeah.
You're basically in Brad's head the whole time, seeing things through his eyes. But, and this is key as readers, we quickly realize we shouldn't just blindly accept everything he's thinking,
And then, bam! Candy's true colors come out. Not what we were expecting at all. The whole knife thing is pretty intense, obviously. But there was this one tiny detail that really stuck with me.
Okay, I'm hooked. What was it?
After, and I know this is kind of gruesome, but she wipes the blade on his pants. His pants. Come on.
See, that's what gets me. It's the little things, because that tiny detail, it speaks volumes. We're not talking about someone just trying to survive anymore. This is about power. This is about being cold enough to completely dehumanize the person you're hurting.
It's like we get this peek into how deep this need for revenge goes for Candy before we even know the half of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking of, that car crash that's mentioned, that's more than just an accident, right?
Absolutely not. Car crashes in literature, those are never just accidents. Think about it. They're packed with symbolism. And to have it happen twice, almost like an echo, and then seeing how it plays into what Brad goes through. There's something much bigger at play here.
Is this what you were talking about before? With that whole destructive loop concept?
Bingo. You're starting to see it, even just from these first few pages, how those pieces connect.
Man, this author's good. I'm already hooked.
Me too, and we haven't even gotten to the really good part yet.
So we're really starting to see how deep this need for revenge runs with Candy, huh? Especially with those car crash details, it's almost like they're haunting her,
Yeah, and what's really clever is how the author doesn't just hit you over the head with it.
Yeah.
They make you sit with the darkness of what Candy's doing. Even with that glimpse into her past trauma, it really makes you think.
Is this actually justice? Is this really going to fix anything?
Exactly. It would have been easy to make this a simple bad guy gets what he deserves kind of story. But it's so much more than that.
And just when you think you're starting to understand what makes Candy tick,
yeah,
everything changes. The moment that SUV pulls up and the driver, we find out later it's Andromalius, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the way he just says her name, like he knows her. Man, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Talk about a total game changer. We go from this gritty, real-world revenge thriller to something way more, cosmic.
Right. We're not just talking about human vengeance anymore. We're talking about something eternal, something bigger.
It's like the story saying, oh, you think this is bad, buckle up. We're going to a whole other level of messed up.
And they do. But what I find so interesting is that the author doesn't make Andromalius some over-the-top, scary demon,
Right. He's almost, chillingly polite.
Yeah. And then you get that one detail, that sulfur smell.
Oh, yeah.
It hits you on this primal level nope, this is bad news.
And that's the thing about details like that. It's not just telling you Andromalius is demonic. It's making you feel it.
Yeah.
The dread, the atmosphere, that sense that things are about to get a whole lot worse for Candy.
Which they do. Man, to be stuck for eternity with the person who hurt you, that's some seriously rough justice.
No kidding. It makes you wonder, is it really justice at all? Or just another level of suffering?
That ending just messed up on so many levels. You talk about revenge being a dish best served cold, right? This is like Ice Age levels of cold.
Yeah.
But it really makes you wonder, does anyone win in this scenario at all?
That's the question that really sticks with you, right? It's like the author doesn't let us off easy with this one. Candy gets what she wants, but at what cost? It
Yeah.
really forces you to confront this idea that even when someone does face consequences, even when justice is served, it doesn't erase the past, you know?
Yeah, totally. And
Sakura.
you can't talk about that ending without talking about Andromalius,
Yeah.
right? Like he's not just some bystander here. It's almost like he's, I don't know, getting off on her misery.
It's like he's savoring it, and that's what's so disturbing. Andromalius, this demon, right?
Yeah.
He represents this very human thing, this capacity for cruelty, this almost enjoyment in watching someone else suffer. It's like the story is holding up a mirror to the dark side we all have.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And as if being trapped for eternity wasn't bad enough, there's that detail about Candy and Withers being stuck together, mirroring each other's pain. Brutal. Honestly, though, any other ending would have felt, I don't know, unearned almost.
Right. It's like, given how heavy everything is, how emotionally charged the story is, a happy ending just wouldn't have fit. As unsettling as it is, this ending feels right. It leaves you with this lingering feeling of, ugh, like some things, some wounds, they don't heal.
Man, this whole deep dive, what a ride. We started with what seemed like a pretty simple revenge story, and look where we ended up. Demons, eternal damnation. We're talking big questions here. Justice, forgiveness, whether some things are just straight up unforgivable.
I think if there's one thing this story makes clear, it's that revenge is a double-edged sword. You know, it might feel good in the moment, but those long-term consequences, like we see with Candy, they can be devastating.
No kidding. Big thanks to our listener for sending this one in. Definitely gave us a lot to think about. And to everyone listening, keep those recommendations coming. Until next time, deep divers keep exploring those dark corners of storytelling. And remember, sometimes the stories that mess with us the most are the ones that teach us the most about ourselves.